Hi, I'm Alka, and welcome to another video. Today, we are taking a look at the Hidden Temple, a ROM hack I made for Wolflips's Zelda themed competition in 2020. This hack, of course, being made in 2020. The origins of this, of me starting, is peculiar because the competition had been going for a while, and this competition in particular went on for a very long time. It kept getting delayed for some reason. I'm not entirely sure what the reason was, but it kept getting delayed, the end date, for months. This competition went on for months. It started like in March or something. It ended, I worked on this in June or July during the summer. This thing went on for quite a long time, and I don't really know what the reason was for all of that. But I didn't work on this hack right away. You know, I thought about the competition. It's Legend of Zelda themed. I thought that was interesting, and I was thinking about making an open world-esque hack where you don't get kicked out of the level and you just unlocked progressively more areas as you collect more stars. But I didn't go with that because I learned something really important during this competition, and it's really ultimately what I learned from 2020, being all by myself, being able to really think things through without much pressure. Having just a lot of time to think with very minimal schoolwork from high school, because they couldn't really assign us much to do online. I sat here thinking and learned that I need to work on things. I need to be passionate about what I work on. And I know that's a very well, duh type of thing to learn. Of course you should work on things that you're passionate about. But it's very interesting because I still make this mistake today, I think, but I was very passionate about this idea specifically of this hack. About taking the design philosophies of The Legend of Zelda and combine them with the design philosophies of Mario 64 to create a very unique experience. Because I remember learning forever ago when I was looking into making my own Zelda content using Zelda Classic. I was looking into how Zelda games are designed, and primarily in Zelda Classic there's like two main areas that are focused on, and that is puzzle solving and combat. And I would like to also add exploration to the mix, because I feel like it's an explorative element as well, but primarily puzzle solving and combat when it comes to this, just intermixed with exploration. Like, you're kind of exploring as you do both of those. So, when I looked at Mario 64, I'm like, okay, well, there's combat with like all the enemies and everything, but Mario 64 is primarily a platformer. It's primarily platforming. Not a lot of puzzles, not a lot of combat, mostly platforming. So I thought, well, Mario 64 doesn't have much combat, like Ocarina of Time, for example, does. So what if I made a temple that's designed with puzzle solving and platforming in mind, with the typical exploration element that a dungeon has? So that's what I did. So I removed pretty much any section that you would think would have some kind of combat with the enemy. I kind of instead put platforming there, some kind of platforming challenge. So there's sections with platforming challenges in here, but there's also sections with puzzle solving. And one of the main things, and one of my favorite gimmicks from the Zelda series, I don't play Majora's Mask. I haven't played a lot of Zelda games, but I always thought the idea of the Stone Tower Temple and having it get flipped, the entire temple getting flipped upside down, was very interesting because it gives you a whole different perspective on the level, and also it's very interesting from a design perspective how a level is designed to be both played with when it's normal, but also play when it's upside down, and how those two are mixed together and play off each other. So I wanted to take that exact concept and do it here, because I've been wanting to do it for a long time. And you might notice, I didn't even think about when I was making the hack, but in retrospect, a lot of the ideas used in this hack are ideas that I had thought of but cut from Simple Flips' Mansion from 2018. The original idea for that hack is that you gained stars, which would then allow you to open doors to make us through to the mansion, a la the keys of Luigi's Mansion. And it was also a cut idea from that you would go upside down in a section, and the whole mansion would be flipped and you explore upside down. Both of those concepts were brought back here, completely by accident. I had not thought about that hack while making this, but in retrospect, literally, those two ideas are now fully brought to life in this hack, and that's really crazy. It's really weird, because the original key, like, star idea in Simple's Mansion was going to be inspired by Luigi's Mansion, but here, it's obviously inspired by The Legend of Zelda, so it's kind of interesting how that came about. But as with the level itself, I made it relatively like the same pace, like 15 days-ish. I'm not entirely sure about this one. But the level itself is based off of an idea. I was interested in rumors about Ocarina of Time. And I had some background knowledge about Ocarina of Time rumors and cut content. One of these things is a supposed hidden temple called the Sky Temple that you'll be able to access, and it's just a temple in the sky. And that's really about it. Some people also call it the Light Temple, and pretty much that's what this is meant to be, is the hidden temple from Ocarina of Time, now fully explorable. And there's a few other elements from Ocarina of Time's beta and rumors that I have put in here. I was thinking about putting the Unicorn Fountain, but it doesn't feel super in place anywhere. So that was where the idea of this came from, the aesthetic and everything, even though it's clearly like sand-based, this temple, which it is, but the idea is that it's like a floating temple in the sky, but you don't get to see the sky ever. So it never really set into place. That's what it was. But that is what it's meant to be. It's a hidden temple from Ocarina of Time. The place seen before. So yes, and with this feeling of a hidden temple, there's some placards on the wall that you can read, and they're meant to be kind of like sophisticated ancient writings, was like really drawn out, like not using, like spanning a noun into like several like adjectives and just overly descriptive things. Like it never calls a star, it calls it some like foreign source of extreme power or something, just completely over the top. Because as this mysterious and sophisticatedness of who might have built this place, and actual placards themselves, being signs, just add a bit more realism to the whole thing. And that's about that. A little detail about the signs is that the actual text written on the texture is actual text I typed out, but extremely blurred. So if anyone wants to try to read that, it does say something. It's a bit cut off, but there is something there. Some little Easter eggs on there, if anybody wants to check that out. But yes. And here is the most controversial star of the entire hack. It's called the Hidden Warp. You get to see all the star names at the beginning if you read the placard over there. But the idea is that in the flipped version, you fall down there, you find the warp, you think it's kind of odd that the whole area exists, and it warps you there. And I thought the name of the story would kind of give it away. It's like, oh, there's a hidden warp. Well, I know that one warp, so maybe because the whole temple is about the whole thing being flipped, what if it's in the same exact location, but in the flipped version of the level. So that was the idea of that. And apparently, that wasn't very obvious. I wanted to add an arrow, but I didn't feel like it when I was just making it. I should have done that, because if you looked up, you could have seen the other warp symbol and then fully linked the two together, but I thought people would just do that automatically, just trying to look around, but it's really high up, so I don't really know. And this area, which is inspired once again by the beta of Ocarina of Time, the Triforce room. Everyone, the big room about getting the Triforce in that game. And I modeled this room after a room found in the beta. I think it did a pretty good job. The Triforce itself is from Ocarina of Time, and from one of the cutscenes. So it looks pretty good. It is shocking how well it looks in Mario 64. And that's the only custom object in this entire hack. Just the Triforce rotating. And this is a warp object inside of it. The actual Triforce does nothing. And then there's this end screen, which has the different Triforce colors. You got green, blue, and red, each representing Triforce courage, wisdom, and power, which I think is pretty neat. And this screen turned out pretty well. It looks shockingly good for an end screen. Looks professional. But yeah, that was the Hidden Temple. And I have a fondness for this hack. I think it's really interesting from a design perspective. Just as I described earlier, I think it really makes it stand out from the other submissions of the competition because of that. And yeah, that's about it. It's a hack that I don't play often anymore. And when I was playing it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that is a thing, when I was playing through it. But yes, that was Hidden Temple. I hope you enjoyed.